Hey church, I'm Kelsey Ross, the Director of Youth Ministries at Wesley, and I'm here on Monday, August 3rd to bring you your nightly devotion. As we begin to make a very slow and uncertain transition back into the school year through the month of August, tonight I wanted to talk to you about one of my favorite summer traditions. You may have heard me talk about camp and our conference camping and retreat ministries programs in the past, but if you haven't, I'll tell you that I have been volunteering and serving on the summer staff at Little Grassy United Methodist Camp in Makanda, Illinois for the better part of the last 10 years. Serving at camp is by far one of my most favorite things in the world. The calendar year for me is often split into before camp and after camp, and I have endless memories of the most spiritual and happiest times of my life spent there. Unfortunately, like so many time-honored traditions and vital parts of the life of the church, it was canceled this year due to the COVID pandemic. But I still wanted to share one of my favorite stories from my time on staff with you tonight. So 6 years ago, in the summer of 2014, I was serving, fresh out of college, as the full-time staff chaplain for the summer. As a member of summer staff, during our beginning of the year training in June, we had to embark on what my boss often referred to as a team building exercise, where we, as young adults in our 20s, had to pack into canoes, row 2 miles across Little Grassy Lake, dock the canoes, hike 3 miles, and then do the whole thing in reverse. Now, at this point, I had gone on this trip a number of times, each time more exasperating than the last. It wasn't that I didn't love Little Grassy or my sweet band of coworkers. It wasn't that I didn't want to spend an afternoon on the water, which is by far one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. But when you break it down, it ends up being about 8 hours in relatively close quarters with the same 10 people, and tensions are running high, and you're sweaty and you're tired, and at the end of it all, a little bit fed up with your company, no matter how delightful they may seem in other circumstances. And on this trip in the summer of 2014, at the end of an incredibly long day, I was feeling that sense of exasperation, maybe even desperation, just to get back to camp, to be done with this exercise. But, as fate would have it, after nearly 7 hours in canoes and hiking, and when we were about 30 minutes from the camp beach, a torrential downpour began. Rain was falling fast and hard on the lake, pouring into our canoes with no end in sight. Since there was no thunder or lightning present at the time, we decided to dredge forward, just make it back to camp at all costs necessary, trying to beat the storm. And then, I remember turning a corner on that lake, tired and sweaty and incredibly frustrated with the situation, and seeing that Little Grassy Beach, my favorite place in the world, had no rain, no water, no cloud cover. Little Grassy Beach was safe from the storm that raged on around us. And I remember thinking that Little Grassy United Methodist Camp is the only place in my life where it never rains. Church, this season of uncertainty has undoubtedly led to some storms in your life, I'm sure. But like it says in Romans 12:9, I urge you, cling to what is good. I pray that you have somewhere in your life where it never rains. Even more, I pray that Wesley UMC is that place. But if you don't, I encourage you to do some self-care in this season. Remember the places and the times in life that made you feel alive, and have hope that someday, when all this is over, you'll get to go there and feel those things again. My challenge to you this week is make yourself a place where it never rains for anyone that you will encounter this week. Remember that that is our call, this season and every other season. We are called to be the hands and feet of God's love to whomever we may encounter, and likewise encourage our church family to do the same. I encourage you also to pray for our students who have missed out on those meaningful times this summer that they spend the school year desperately clinging to. I think we could all, at this time, do to be reminded of the places and the times in our life where it never rains. So consider this. Share with the people in your life a story reminiscent of that very promise. Talk to one another. Remember the good and sacred times that we've been given before this season. Share a story with someone about the places or the times in your life where it never rains. Will you pray with me? Oh God, we thank you for the beauty of your creation, even in the midst of an incredibly unsettling time. God, you have given us all that is good. You have given us times and places and moments where it feels like it could never rain again. In the spirit of remembrance today, help us to share those times with anyone we may encounter. Amen. Have a great night, church. See you soon.